Hello world, and welcome back to a beginner's guide to CSS Part 3, Borders, Alignment and Web Development Tools. If you'd like to use the same template we're using in this tutorial or are new to web development, please check out a beginner's guide to HTML before proceeding to the first two parts on CSS, linked to the playlist in the description below. Now, to start off this tutorial, let me show you how to add a border to our rectangle div. Navigate to my.css. And in the rectangle class, just under background color, enter border hyphen bottom colon 10px and solid. Let's break down what we wrote here. Border hyphen bottom, as you may have guessed, will only display at the bottom of your HTML element. You can have the border appear on the top, left or right of the element. If you are looking to add a border all the way around the element, you can simply add border, ending with the colon. 10px represents the width of the border in pixels. The higher the number, the thicker the border. Finally, we have solid, meaning that the border will appear as a solid line. But if you wanted something else other than solid, you can choose from dashed, dotted, double, groove, inset, outset, and ridge. So feel free to have a play with those if solid isn't working for your website. Now let's return to the browser and refresh the page. As you can see, we now have a solid border at the bottom of our rectangle element. If you'd like to experiment with the border color, simply enter your color name or hexadecimal value at the end of the border attribute. Let's focus on getting rid of that white space above our header. The best way to get rid of it is to understand why it's there. To do that, I'm going to introduce you to web development tools. In your browser, hover your pointer next to your heading text, right-click and choose Inspect. Welcome to Web Development Tools. Through these tools, we can see our website's HTML, CSS, and layout attributes. If we hover over the HTML elements, we can see which ones they represent on the page, which will come in handy if you're new to web development. You can see the HTML comments we added for guidance. This is why we never put sensitive information in our HTML comments. Anyone can open the web development tools to see them. To find the reason for the white space, let's select our H1 element by clicking on it, and leave our pointer hovering over it. The light blue area highlighted on the page is currently the H1 tag. The yellow and orange directly above and below it is also part of the H1 tag. This is what's called a margin, and it was added to our H1 element by default. If we have a look at the right side of the page under our Layout tab, we can see that the H1 element has a margin above and below it of 64.32 in size. One of the best things about web development tools is that you can use it to test both HTML and CSS before adding it to your code. Let's try that now by removing the margin at the top by clicking on it and setting it to 0. Look at that! Our margin is gone and the Web Development Tools has generated the CSS styling that we can use to apply to our code. So let's copy and paste that CSS into our own CSS file under our H1 selector. To check that this worked, let's refresh the page. Great! That looks the same to me. For those with a keen eye, you may have noticed a slight white border that isn't part of the H1 element. To find it, let's hover over the div we commented as the div title. Only the H1 text is highlighted here. Let's try the element above it. Aha! The white border is now highlighted in green. This means that the body is responsible for the white border. Let's click to select it. If we move to the right side of the screen under Layout, we can see that each side has a margin of 8. So let's set the top margin to 0 and the left margin to 0. As we can see, both the top and left margins are gone from our website. While we could remove the right margin and copy and paste our CSS element into our code, it would be easier to set all margins to 0, as in this case, we don't want any margins applied to the element. To do that, let's return to our CSS page, locate the body selector, and under font family, enter margin, colon, 0, semicolon. We can check that worked by saving and reloading the page. Ta-da! Now all white borders are gone. Alright, let's finalize our title banner by centering the text and adding more space above and below it. To do that, open the HTML page. Where our comment says text, and I'll just change this to title now so it's clearer, we'll give it a class title. You may recall that a class won't apply if there isn't one defined, so let's add it now to our CSS page. Pop quiz! Do you remember how to indicate that a selector is a class and not an element? If your answer is full stop, you are correct. So let's type full stop, title, open bracket. Remember, if you're not using an IDE like Visual Studio Code, you will need to add the closing bracket. Inside the brackets, add padding, colon, 12%, semicolon. Then hit enter and type text, hyphen, align, colon, center, semicolon. It would be easier to explain what we did here by showing you. Let's save, go back to our website and refresh. Now our banner looks like the original. If we take a look at the title div now, we can see that the value representing 12% padding on the title div was applied. If you remember earlier, margin was applied outside the element. By using padding, we are expanding the area inside the whole element, so we don't need to add padding to the top, bottom, etc. You may also be wondering why we gave a percentage rather than pixels. This is to ensure that the banner will look okay regardless of which screen size we're viewing the website on. This is part of responsive web design. Be sure to stick around to the end to see how this padding looks on a mobile device using web development tools. Scrolling down, we can see that the last thing we need to do is align the page content to the center. Now it's your turn. Using your knowledge on class selectors and text alignment, try aligning the content of the page to the center and setting the padding to 5%. If your solution doesn't look quite right, try using the web development tools to assist you. I'll show you the solution when you're done. Good luck! Assuming you've had a go yourself, I will quickly show you the simplest solution. In the div under the comment main content, add a new CSS class. I called mine content. Then, in your CSS page, create a class of the same name. Inside it, add text, hyphen, align, colon, center, semicolon. Underneath that would have been padding, colon, 5%, semicolon. Now let's go back to our website and refresh the page. Excellent! The content of our website is now aligned. Great work! As a final touch, let's add a larger gap between the text and the image. Let's start off by creating a class called item and add padding, hyphen, bottom, colon, 5%, semicolon. Now go back to our HTML and add the item class to the div under the comment item 1. We should apply the same class to the div under item 2 to keep things consistent. To ensure your website looks as consistent throughout, reuse classes when you want the same formatting applied to multiple divs. Now let's save and reload the page on our browser. Alright, the padding worked. Now our website looks much cleaner. Now, as promised, let's see what our website looks like on a mobile device. Open the web development tools and click on the icon that looks like a phone and a tablet. It's called Responsive Design Mode in Firefox and Toggle Device on Chrome and Edge. And here is what our website looks like on a mobile device. You can even change the orientation of the device by using the rotate viewpoint icon. You can even scroll through the website as if you were on an actual phone. If we didn't use percentage in our padding, the spaces could either look too wide or too small on a different device view. But 12% on the banner and 5% on the items looks okay in this mobile view, so there's no need to change it. And with that, we have reached the end of the Beginner's Guide to CSS series. You should be able to create a simple website of your own now. If you'd like some self-learning exercises, try aligning the items to the right side of the page. Or you could switch the padding measurements to px to get a feel of the difference between px and percentage. If you want to truly see a difference, try manually resizing the browser. I wish you all the very best with your website development journey. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for future web development content. Until then, this is Micro, logging out.